everyone. I hope this message finds each of you so very well. I'm speaking to you from my studio in West Orange, New Jersey, and I could not be more delighted to have the pleasure of interviewing Huenu Solsona, who is joining us from Cape Town, South Africa. Huenu is a former helicopter pilot whose journey has taken a remarkable turn towards spiritual service. Today, she is the inspired founder of Orykl, the world's first digital platform designed to connect seekers with thoroughly vetted spiritual practitioners. Much like grief and rebirth, Orykl illuminates the path to healing by spotlighting trusted mediums and healers, offering a safe and transformative space for those in search of guidance and renewal. Huenu's path into spiritual wellness was born from a profound personal loss, the sudden passing of her older brother in a tragic small plane accident in 2009. That tragedy became her catalyst for a deep spiritual awakening and a calling to help others heal, which I also deeply relate to. With over 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience across diverse industries, Huenu brings a rare blend of business expertise and soulful insight to her healing mission with Orykl, which empowers spiritual practitioners to turn their gifts into thriving careers while ensuring that seekers receive guidance from trusted, heart-centered professionals. In her meditations, Huenu envisions her heart as a radiant golden light stretching across the globe, a luminous metaphor for her belief that when light workers unite with integrity and purpose, they can catalyze a profound shift in the collective consciousness. I wholeheartedly share that vision, and this interview will beautifully embody that spirit. I'm looking forward to talking with Huenu about the profound impact of her brother's tragic accident and how it sparked her spiritual awakening, the deep calling that led her to help others heal, the intuitive knowing that saved her life during a helicopter crash. And this wasn't just hope, it was a soul-level knowing. That intuitive clarity helped her remain calm and focused, ultimately guiding her through the danger with her powerful belief that each of us is here with a purpose and much more for a conversation that is surely going to be filled with wisdom, inspiration, and soul. Hi there, and welcome to the Grief and Rebirth podcast. I'm your host, author and trauma survivor Irene Weinberg, here to encourage you wherever you are in your healing journey. In each episode, I chat with incredible grief and trauma specialists, healers, mediums, and celebs, as well as remarkable people who have inspiring healing stories to share. If you're looking for a podcast that's both uplifting and inspiring, you've found it. Let us help you find your joy in life. Hi, Huenu. A warm, heartfelt welcome to Grief and Rebirth podcast.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much. And thank you for that amazing introduction. And well done. You do good research. So
thank you. I really do. I want my listeners to know how special you are because you have a lot of wisdom to share with them. So I'm really, and you've got quite a history, a helicopter pilot, no less. You're a courageous lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't we start by having you describe your relationship with your older brother and his accident, which brought about this profound spiritual awakening.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So my brother Pablo and I and my brother Javier and really my whole family, we were very close. I would describe my brother as the glue of the family. He always, our lives took us to different parts of the world and we all moved around a lot, but he always made an effort to see us, to invite us. He'd always pay, he'd always offer. And he had no enemies, and I mean it. I don't know anybody that didn't like my brother. I remember at his funeral, I met a couple of his friends that I had never met before. And they said to me, oh, you know, Pablo called me a few days before he died. I said, but I've never even heard of you. And at the memorial, it was kind of a funny thing. Somebody said, we kind of don't understand this very much, but we all thought we were Pablo's best friend.
Oh my goodness.
And it turns out, so he had so many friends. And, we were very close. And when he died, it was so sudden that, for those that have lost somebody, it is almost unbelievable. You just don't really believe it. For the longest time, you think that you're actually going to open the door and he's actually going to walk through, and actually this has just been a bad dream. So our relationship was very strong, very solid. His relationship with all of us was very strong and very solid, and with his friends. And I think that, as I've come to understand, he knew his time was up, and I think he crammed so much life in the life that he was here with us.
Wow. Exactly. What happened in this accident?
My brother was quite a daredevil. I got a call from his fiance who told me first, and I thought motorbike because he used to ride his motorbike really fast. But he actually crashed his small microlight. It was a combination between a plane and a microlight. And what happened was that he was living in Madrid, Spain, and this was the 6th of August, 2009. And so it's very light until very late. And he went to the aerodrome where the plane was, and he realized he forgot his GPS. And it was 9 p.m. at night, but he decided to go flying anyway because you can see from above, you can still see and guide yourself. It's called visual flying. And anyway, that's quite a risk to take already, to leave without a GPS at 9 p.m. He flew over his fiance's house, which was on the outskirts of Madrid, near this aerodrome, waved at them, and they said to him, Pablo, it's late, you got to get back. So he started flying back, and it got dark, and the wind picked up, so it took him a lot longer to get back than he thought, and he eventually lost his way, called the aerodrome to say, listen, I don't really know where I am. The guys had put all the cars in a row with the lights on, because these aerodromes are very small. It's not like an airport. There's nothing there. It's just a field. So they'd put all the cars in a row to see if he could see them. But he was, I think, about 5 kilometers away, and eventually ran out of petrol and said to the guys, I'm going to have to land. I'm going to have to land because I'm running out of petrol. And there was a highway, and it converged, and he went down to land, and there were power lines that he couldn't see. So he just, when you hit 2 power lines, which is interesting because he died in the air, and not many people actually die in the air. You die when you crash. So I kind of think of that. And also that obviously it was very fast. So those at least.
Which is a comfort.
But yeah, it's a very minor comfort, but it's something, I guess.
Something. And this brought about a profound spiritual awakening for you, right? And you got inspired to help people heal? Is that all connected to that?
So what happened was that straight after he passed, I wanted to find out if he was still around, if he could hear me, what happens when you die. I became very interested in what happens when you die, right? So I started reading books, and started reading more books, from a lot of near-death experiences, Anita Moorjani's to Mimi, to Journey of Souls, and to more books and more books. And that led to more and more stuff, meditation, then yoga, then course, then it just, then I was on the journey. And it wasn't so much about my brother, it was more about, wow, this is really interesting and fascinating, it's helping me, it's super interesting. And, what was your question?
I wanted to know, well, I understand it led to this profound spiritual awakening for you, right?
Right.
And then you got a calling to help people heal? I mean, did that come from that, or did that happen to you later?
What happened was, I had businesses before. I had pretty successful businesses, and I felt like I had learned a lot as an entrepreneur. And I said to myself, the next business that I do, I'm going to use all of my gifts. I'm going to really stretch myself as an entrepreneur because I'm going to help the world. And I'm going to help the world in a meaningful way. I wanted to help all the animals in the world. I still want to help all the animals in the world. And I just set that intention. And it was one day in meditation, end of 2020, I was just sitting there on my bed, and this idea came to me, including the name, including the logo, everything that you see on the homepage. This just all came to me. I wrote it all down with my eyes closed, and that was 2020, and it's
and here you are
today.
Yeah, all right, yeah. So before we leap more into what you've done now with Orykl, to help so many people heal. I want to know what on the earthbound plane. I want to know what motivated you to become a helicopter pilot.
Oh.
And I mean, my goodness. And that is a willingness also to step into the unknown. And that was also a part of your spiritual journey in the creation of Orykl, right? Because you had quite a harrowing helicopter experience.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So I have a lot of interests. I love sports. I used to skydive for a while, and I love skiing. So I've skied a lot, and I maybe not so much now, but when I was younger, speed and adrenaline was very attractive for me. And I pretty much bumped a helicopter ride, pretending that I wanted to be a student because I knew this guy taught, and I didn't really want to be a student. I just wanted to bum a free flight. And so he took me and he started sort of telling me and teach me. And as I'm sitting there and he's telling me what to do, I'm like, this is so cool. This is so cool. And I ended up thinking, well, maybe I could be a helicopter pilot for fun. And so I did. So I became a private helicopter pilot, but it was really, to be honest, I was due one more exam and I was delaying to give it. But anyway, my accident, it wasn't an accident, it was an emergency, happened just before that last exam. So I didn't actually take that last exam. And also my brother died very shortly thereafter. So
tell us about this helicopter accident, because it was close to a near-death experience, wasn't it for you? I mean, like now I'm getting the picture that you sort of had awakened spiritually, but this was the icing on the cake, so they say, right? I mean, this was
this happened a couple of months before my brother died. So,
okay.
Which was one of the reasons I also stopped flying, obviously, because of my brother passing in an airplane crash. But no, what happened was that I was just flying, and I'd been flying for quite a while, so I was very light on fuel, and it was just myself. And I was hovering over some vineyards, and I wanted to see if I could feel a difference between hovering over the vineyards and hovering over solid ground, just to see if the helicopter felt a bit different. And I'd taken off facing north, which was where the wind was coming from. And as I went down to hover, I thought, okay, wind's coming from the north, I'm just gonna face north. And I knew the wind was coming from the west, but for some reason I just went down. And when you're very light in your helicopter and you have wind coming straight from the one side, from the west in this case, and the tail rotor is pushing air from one side to the other at about 10 knots. And if wind's coming from exactly the opposite side at exactly 10 knots, and you're light and you're hovering, you have an LTE emergency, which is a loss of tail rotor effectiveness emergency.
Wow.
All of those things have to be there in order for this to happen. So I was, I guess,
they had to align.
They had to align, yeah. So I'm there, and then next thing I know, because the tail rotor is not working, the helicopter starts yawing to the right. It just starts going right. And things in a helicopter are very subtle. If you touch the foot pedals or the hand instruments, like everything's very subtle. You don't do any harsh movement. So I put a little bit of left pedal to try and get the helicopter to go left, and nothing happened. A little bit more, nothing happened. And next thing I know, the helicopter is spinning like this very fast. I even see the shadow like on the floor, and I go, wow. And then I remember thinking, and you says this is similar maybe to a near-death experience. I never thought of it that way, I'll be honest with you, but I did have clarity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And the clarity was, well, the first thought was, I'm going to die. Wow, I'm going to die. Then there was a thought that said, wait a minute, I don't die this way. Then there was a knowing that, oh, I don't. I just know that I don't die this way. Cool, that's like done, right? Then it was like, okay, well, if I don't die this way, obviously I get myself out of the situation. Okay, so then I'm just gonna get myself out of the situation. And I did what you were supposed to do in that emergency, but it came intuitively, because I just said, okay, I'm gonna have hard left pedal, because otherwise this helicopter is getting out of control. I have to go, harsh the other way. And so I went fully down, which is which is what I should have done, but very normally you don't do that, right? And then, anyway, if you want to know the technicalities, that the tail rotor rotates always at the same speed. Now, I just put more pressure, and it's actually, the RPMs went down, and the low RPM horn went on. And so that was very loud, like, ooh, you know, so I look at the instruments, I see I'm pulling a lot of power. I try and lower as much as possible to try not burn the motor. And I scrape literally the vineyards with the skids, and I get myself out of there. I fly out and I get myself out of there. I was completely calm, like zero, like totally calm. I switched everything off, and once everything's off, then I allow myself to panic, and I go, oh my God, what just happened?
Right?
You know, and I took out a book and I wrote down exactly what had happened. Then I remembered, oh, I was facing north, the wind's coming, I see it, and then I called the airport and I said, guys, I think you must come and fetch me. Maybe I burnt the motor, I don't know. And they did, and I flew it out of there with somebody in the, you know.
Right. Well, the part that fascinates me is you just knew. And I don't know if that comes from if you just had a knowing, or that was your higher self speaking to you, or you know, how or your intuition, or what that was. But that's amazing how you just knew you were going to be okay. And then, but sure enough, a little while later, your brother had an accident in the air also. That's so amazing and so interesting. So I know that we're going to talk a lot about soul and purpose and consciousness, you and I, because we're aligned with this. I know. So could you tell people why you deeply believe, as I speak to you and we each are talking about our purpose, why do you deeply believe that each of us is here for a purpose? And how, while we have free will, does our higher self gently nudge us towards that purpose? Can you educate us about, I mean, everyone listening to this podcast is here for a purpose?
Yeah, I think so. So I do. I think we're here for many purposes. And I think that our purpose, ultimately, the mother of all purposes, I would say, is to be our authentic selves, to be who we came here to be, to fall in love with the things that we are already in love with, to fall in love with ourselves, to fall in love with life, to fall in love with the moment, to fall in love with everything, to see love around us. That is all our purpose, to live love, to live heaven on earth, right?
Right.
Now, that looks different to each of us. Really, the things that you love, the moments that you love spending, the things that you like doing or love doing, the things that you're good at are different to mine. We are having our own experiences. We're dancing here. And it's in learning to follow that, you know, in learning to trust ourselves and to follow our passions and our loves, that's where we're heading, you know, that's where we want to go. We get sidetracked, we get confused by what society tells us we're meant to be doing here. And so we are obviously, as children, as young adults, and as adults, we listen to what everybody's saying, and we think that this is what we should be doing because that's, you know, all around us. And then we get further and further away from us. We lose ourselves, many of us, along the way. And, you know, part of this awakening or reawakening is just remembering, actually, no, who am I? What do I love? What do I want to do? What lights me up? And trust yourself along the way.
And also, I'm not resonating with some of these messages I'm getting. I don't resonate. I feel like sometimes people feel like the outsider when they're getting all these messages, and it doesn't really resonate with what they feel like called to do.
Yes. So our soul does speak to us. Our soul is speaking to us all the time, and it's speaking to us in emotion. So if we feel, and the emotion, the easier way that I find to describe the emotion is it an expansive emotion or is it a constrictive emotion? Because sometimes you can't say happy, sad, you know, they're two-edged swords sometimes. We need a little bit of this to have a little bit of that. But if you have to make a decision, for example, you know, going or coming, How does it feel? So if I go and if I just allow myself to feel, do I feel good about that? Or do I feel like, no, it's almost like an opening or a closing, right?
Right.
And you can actually, that's how you ask your soul. Okay, soul, I don't know what to do. Let me sit here and feel, you will get the answer. And so that's your soul telling you what to, so and people go, I knew it. Yeah, you knew it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I felt it.
Yeah.
And then we also get nudges sometimes. Wouldn't you agree that they try to help us sometimes? And lots of times you've got so much noise coming at you that you don't pay attention to your nudges, which are trying to guide you on your path.
Yes, and
Right?
sometimes you get hit over the head with a bat and you get sick, for example, or something bad happens, and that finally forces you to look in that direction. We don't need to wait for the bat over our heads, though. We can just listen a little bit more closely and allow it to guide us without fear,
Right. I couldn't
Because you know
agree
what, the
more.
one thing I've heard many times, and my girlfriend today, we went for a hike, she said to me, and I said, I'm so happy you realized this. She's like, I realized no one cares. I said, bravo, no one cares. Go ahead, do it, don't do it. Just, who are you trying to
Follow
please?
your path,
No
right.
one cares.
Follow what
Who are
you're
you-
feeling,
yeah.
right? So speaking about following your path, you had this great deep alignment with soul guidance, and it brought you to create Orykl, and you got the message, and you did this. So how this emerged from your soul guidance, and what you're doing with Orykl, and I want to talk about Orykl, is helping the collective consciousness to heal, right? So do you have a perspective on this transformative impact of light workers coming together? Because I loved when I read about you that it talked about integrity and purposeful intention to raise the collective consciousness. So let's talk first. What is this collective consciousness for people who are not familiar with this term, and how are people like you and I and others coming together influencing that consciousness? And then I want to talk to specifically how you are doing it through Orykl. So
Okay, cool.
go ahead.
So lots of questions.
Yeah, I always have lots of questions.
So the collective consciousness is that. It's the collective consciousness of all of us. Now, you could say the collective consciousness of humanity. You could say the collective consciousness of Gaia, Mother Earth, right? This planet. So the consciousness is the key word. And this is what I'm very excited that science is looking into, to try and understand what consciousness is in the first place, right? When we say the collective, well, what is consciousness? So for me, consciousness is an awareness, my point of view, what I'm experiencing right now, what I'm feeling, this I am kind of sense that I've got inside of me. We all have that sense, and we all affect each other because we're intertwined. It's just energy anyway, right? It's energy. And so the collective consciousness is what we're all kind of in this space that we all operate in, right? And we want to try and elevate that because we want to try and live better lives. So the higher the consciousness, the higher the vibration, the more loving, the closer we get to love. And the lower, the further away from love we are. So more suffering, more
Right.
separation.
Right.
More,
I think we're here to evolve. Would you agree? We're here to...
We are, of course. Yes, we're here to evolve. We're here to evolve. We're here to learn about ourselves. We're here to raise our vibration. We're here to have a good time. We really are. And I think that that's where I also like to, it's not exactly related to your question, but I sometimes want to say to people, being spiritual, spirituality is actually a whole bunch of fun because it is about enjoying life. It is about just embracing it. It doesn't have to be something you need to understand or suffer for or like rack your brain for. It's just les joies d'être, les joies de vivre. Just the joy of being, and it can be fun, and it can be really, really fun. You know what I mean? It's about laughing, enjoying, partying, whatever it is that tickles your fancy, right? But having fun. And I want to put that a little bit more in spirituality, because that is so important. That is what it is.
It's what it is. I also think it brings people tremendous comfort because you develop a faith that there is more and that you're being helped and guided and that you have a purpose. I think it changes. I also think that with spirituality, a lot of people are attracted to the dark energies, and spirituality helps raise their vibration and helps to raise, and I'm having great fun being spiritual and
Yes.
enjoying my life. And it really provides comfort and answers that you don't get from other places in life. So let's get to how you're helping all these people with Orykl. Tell us how you vet healers for Orykl who are from all over the world and some of the modalities they represent. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. So Orykl is an online platform, and we service two sides. On the one hand, we service healers and we give them a system that they can use to run their businesses on. We know that healers are not particularly good at business. They're hard people. That's why they're so good at what they do. And sometimes business requires a lot of head, boxes need to be ticked. And so we provide that platform for them so that they can do what they love, and we help them. And to the client, we assure the client, whoever it might be, that these people are the real deal, that these people have the right intention, have the right heart, have the right skills, knowledge, and they can really help you. And then we match them well, because
so you match a person approaches you and you put them with a healer?
So I don't know when this podcast is going to air, but sooner or later, we will have a really good matching system that we're building. And the matching system is based a lot on AI. We will take all the information that we know from every one of our practitioners with all the data that we have from them, including all the interviews, etc. And then it'll ask the client certain questions about them and what they're looking for, and some of their belief systems, any preferences they might have, and the main reason why they want to speak to somebody. And then the AI will match them with our top 3 performers, and we will give the client 3 different ways in which they can use their intuition to find the right one. A very quick one that takes a little bit longer, and one that takes overnight. So we want to help people also trust their intuition, because they, start, trusting yourself. This is about empowering people. That's one little way of doing it. And the modalities that I've chosen them because I feel like they are the most empowering. And just to give you an example, I don't have psychic readers there. And it's not because I don't believe in the power of them, because I think they're wonderful. And in fact, most of our practitioners are psychic.
Yes.
But I find that people sometimes want to get quick answers from a psychic reader, whereas I'm not here for that. I'm here to teach you how to fish, not to give you a fish. And so it might be a little bit hard, because it's gonna require you to look inside and to do the work and to become responsible and autonomous and sovereign. And that's hard, right? People love to blame, and we even those, sometimes we don't even realize it, that we play the victim role. So the modalities are empowering. You step into your power, you put your big girl panties on, and you learn and you grow. This is what I'm interested in, because then you can affect more people, and that's really the only way for us to grow, is to empower ourselves. So I've chosen these modalities because of that. And I can tell you why, but it might be too long.
Yeah, okay. Well, but I also am imagining that you must be a wonderful source of comfort and camaraderie with the healers who belong to your community, right? I mean, I would imagine they're part of a tribe in a way.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes. You mentioned integrity. Integrity for me is the mother of all values. Integrity is at the top. Everything that I do, to my knowledge, is done with integrity. If maybe something out there is not to somebody else's integrity standard, I don't know, but my standard, it's with integrity. So I don't screw people over, and I don't allow myself to get screwed over, and I'm not interested in any of that. I am here to help. I'm here to align. I'm here to really work as a team. I know through all of my years of having a business that working as a team is a lot more powerful than working individually. And so I'm here to help each other out. I'll help you, you help me. Orykl is about co-creation. I cannot do it with them. We cannot do it with each other. And so we treat everybody just as importantly as everybody else. I always say my meditations, it's always a circle. It's a circle, and I'm one of the people sitting in the circle, and you're sitting in the circle. We're all sitting in the circle. We're very aligned, and we have fun, and we talk. And if it's not aligned, we part ways. That's also fine. It's also not about pushing anyone, right? It's about we come in peace for those who want and are ready.
That's beautiful. And out of integrity, you wouldn't want to push anyone.
No.
They need to make their own choices. They need to.
But it doesn't work out for you in the long run. I always say, business for me can only be a win-win. If it's a win-lose, even if I'm the winner, it just doesn't work.
I love how you've become spiritual and you also help them with your business expertise. I think it's a fantastic combination.
And I must say, this is my absolute passion, is leading with spirit. How do we create new companies that are truly leading spiritually, where we really bring out the best in everybody, bring everybody's gifts to the table, help each other out. If there's a dispute, talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Oh, no judgment, no judgment, no blaming, name calling, and all that. I agree with you.
And I have to be number one, right? I am number one. If somebody says to me, "When I don't like what you did, please let's talk about it." Like, did I, I would like to know. I'm here to grow. That's what I
think that's beautiful. Well, you're walking your talk. You're living your truth.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so. I am. And
so important.
I hope to lead by example. Yeah.
It's so important. And could you please explain to everyone, when you talk about, and we're talking about some people who are walking their spiritual talk, and you also talk about that when you're spiritual, you live without regrets. All right. So tell us a little bit about that, and then explain what is conscious living. Because when I had the accident, our listeners know, when I had my accident, I got an immediate awakening, and I became very conscious as to everything that was going on. It changed everything for me. So while we're talking, let's tell our audience, how do you live without, so many people live with regrets, and we're all going to the great light in this, and on the other side. So how do you do that? And how do you live in a conscious way?
Yeah. Well, they did a large study, I can't remember, I'm sure you can look it up, but they studied the biggest regret of the dying. They interviewed, I can't remember how many people. And the number one regret of the dying is that they didn't live a life more in line with their true selves.
Wow.
That they lived the lives that others wanted them to live, not the life that they wanted to live. And I think that is how you live a life without regrets. You pause for a second, you tap into your heart, and you just ask yourself, what do I want to do? What am I here to do? What I want to do right now? What brings me joy right now? What am I getting signs for that I'm not following on? And you start becoming honest with yourself, and you start slowly but surely following your path more and more and more. And it's not going to be perfect. And you are going to get swayed from side to side, and there is going to be conflict. We're human beings. We can't expect to have a life with no problems and no conflicts.
Well, we came here, these problems, we came here to learn from the problems.
Yes, yeah. So we can't beat ourselves up about it. Every day, if you put a little bit of, and I don't even want to call it effort, because it's actually easy. It's effort not to be yourself if you actually think about it. But we make it hard on ourselves, right? But taking that time to just be ourselves, to get to know ourselves, to get to know who we are. And that is really conscious living. That is just living your truth. Being true to yourself. It's just you and you. Who are you lying to? Who are you trying to deceive? Who are you trying to impress even?
Well, I think about conscious living as a Huenu who is so concerned about integrity that you consciously live your life with integrity, role modeling, being true to your word. I think of consciousness for me when I'm dealing with people who are not necessarily wonderful people. I can consciously send them love, but detach from them because they're not good for me.
And you said something important. May I just say that, in my humble opinion, one of the best ways to live happily or consciously is to detach yourself from drama. I'm sorry, but to not listen to the news. There's no need. There's no need. And I say that, I say that quite boldly. Now, everybody can do whatever they want. But if you're going to give attention to something, whether it's the news or anything else, and you're not going to do anything about it, you're not going to make it better in some ways, then you're wasting your time. And you're actually wasting your life, because you're dedicating time to something that is sucking your energy, that is making you feel constrictive, it's making you feel fearful, doubtful, no hope, or is it making you feel expansive? Now, if it's making you feel expansive, by all means,
go for it.
Go for it. But be honest with yourself. Because we all say we want to live the spiritual life, but we consume so much drama and we fuel it. We don't need to fuel it. We actually don't. And I know there's a lot of stuff happening in the world, and I don't take away from any of the bad stuff, because I know. But if I'm involved in it and I can do something about it, sure. And if I can't do anything about it, it's just not doing anything for me. So that is something that I would encourage people to, because I see it all around me, from the most spiritual people to everyone else. And it's almost like there's exceptions. You can be spiritual here, but you can't be spiritual there. Yeah. Anyway.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's so important. In my interact, especially, I mean, you and I could have a whole other podcast interview about detaching from negative people and getting rid of drama. When people come to me with that, I consciously wish them well, but I do not jump into the drama. I won't do it. I even have a sign on or magnet on my refrigerator that says drama-free drama-free zone. I don't want, and it's not being mean, but why are you loading onto me all this negativity? And that's the whole premise of Orykl and what I do. Heal it. Don't bring us the drama. Heal it so that you can come into positive space with it, right?
Sure.
Right. Sure. Okay, so let's talk about the message, your message about the importance of healing to share with listeners, because this is what Orykl is all about. And I think it's a wonderful concept, and we'll have links for it and everything in our show notes. But why should people go through what they would call the pain, the struggling, the facing down, the issues that they've had in their lives? And why do it now while they can?
Yeah. Well, you asked about healing, right? So what is healing? Well, healing is learning the lesson. Healing is forgiving of ourselves. Healing is understanding that we are energy. We are first and foremost energy, and then we are a physical being. And so whatever manifests in the physical realm has an energetic blueprint, has an energetic starting point. And understanding this and feeling into that space is where the healing happens. So it's I can tell you this because I have spoken to so many healers. This is what they tell me. This is what they teach me. This is what I've started to understand. And different teachers do well with different people. I would encourage anybody to really listen or see who they resonate with and try to understand who we are. What are we? Because besides, and like Ron Pevney that I recently interviewed that we spoke about, I remember he said something like this, who are you besides a eating, sleeping, working, good-looking machine that gets about their day and does all of these things? Besides all of that, like, who are you? What is this? Asking those questions is quite important because you begin understanding, and eventually it's just you will know that we are spiritual beings first, and everything starts in the spirit realm, and then it manifests right here at the end into this physicality. But healing ourselves happens over here, and this is where you need to start playing more and more. and understanding the magic of life. It's actually really fascinating, and we can go to past lives, we can go to moments in our lives, in this life or other lives, where we were wounded, and that has stayed in us as an energetic blockage, and that manifests as something physical eventually. And so healing ourselves, it's physical healing, it's emotional healing, it's spiritual healing. You can do it with the practitioners that we provide. This is exactly why Orykl exists. You can do it by yourself, of course, but it does sometimes help to have somebody, like I have all of these guys, holding you and explaining things, teaching you, making you see, making you feel, and especially when you are actually in that space where you feel it. You don't just understand it, you feel it, you know it. This is important, because I also say often, we don't need another book or another podcast even, or another movie. You know now, it's now time to start doing the work, stepping into that person that you want to be, right? Of feeling things and of actually working more with the heart and energy, and not so much with the head. Sometimes the head, in fact, stands in the way, because you try and analyze and understand every little thing. And how do you understand the concept of no time? How do you understand the concept that everything is here and now? How do you understand the concept of infinity? Your mind is gonna try and go, oh, but how? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can't. You actually have to put it aside. You actually have to say, thank you so much. You lift it up, you go like this, and now you tap into the heart and you feel the different layers of who you are. You go somewhere else, you go beyond your physical body. And that's what happens to people that have NDEs, completely leave their bodies, right? Experience something that the mind cannot explain, because it's unconditional love, and
you both and I experienced that. Yes,
explaining it diminishes it. It's like, yeah, but it's not really that. It was amazing, but I can't tell you, because what word is there beyond amazing, or beyond, So the mind doesn't do it any favors. You just know, because you experienced it. You died, or whatever it might be, right? So we need to start experiencing more, right? So that we can understand more, and that means go do the meditation, go to healers, go to a retreat, do yoga, do plant medicine, do whatever you need to do, you know what I mean? To feel it and understand it, and then things are gonna change. Then you don't even have to rack your brain anymore. You just go, oh, okay. Yeah.
I want to add another point to that, because when they pulled me out of my car and I got that message to be loving and kind to everyone, I took that to mean myself too. And people need to practice self-love. And part of self-love, taking care, how can you take care of everyone in your life if you don't take care of yourself? So part of that is healing, is lovingly bringing yourself to healing, to help you enjoy your life more on the planet, and to be more of a positive force on the planet.
We teach more by example than we do with our words. It's a fact.
Yes. And it's important as we role model this other way of being. And I've seen it in my own life where people go, wow, you're different about that. And this is interesting to me. So now all of a sudden you're introducing a different way that they can be, right? So with that question so beautifully answered, my last question for you is, what is the Huenu tip on finding joy in life?
Sure, I have so many tips. I'll give maybe, can I do 3?
You can do 8. Go for it.
So I feel so blessed, because I speak to a lot of spiritual practitioners because of the work that I do. I feel like I get free coaching every single day.
Sure.
Even just speaking with you was so beautiful. I know we'll probably keep speaking after the recording. So I get lots of tips. But I'm finding a lot lately, especially me, I don't know what, really, people have said it a million times, it's really nothing new, but just spending time in nature. I just find more and more and more that just sitting wherever you have nature around you, where it feels good, sit there, breathe, just feel the nature. The vibration of nature is just a lot higher than it is in a house. I was recently in Antarctica, and I can tell you that the vibration there was unbelievable, because there was nothing, no power lines, no noise, no smoke, no houses, no roads, no nothing. And it was very high. And so that's an easy one, is just any sort of time in nature. And then I will say another one, which is find anything that resonates with you, but that you can do every single day. And that's the key. It's almost not important what it is, and it's not even that important how long it is. What is important is that you do it every day without exception. And there's no exceptions. Nothing. Not your wife, not your kids, not your nothing, not your job. So that time you have to give it to yourself, and you have to put it in your calendar. And start with 5 minutes if you don't do anything, because 5 minutes is doable. You can do that every single day of your life. Now, whatever that is might change, because maybe you're not into this, or maybe you're into this for a little bit and then you evolve into something else. But make sure you love it. Make sure it obviously takes you inward, whether it's a certain meditation or a breathing exercise or a mantra or something. And then try and increase that over time. You will want to naturally, because it'll feel so good. So the only thing you got to do is just commit. And then the other thing I would say, last thing, is that we are here for a good time. Like, we don't have to suffer so much. We don't have to take life so seriously. Really, truly, no one cares. No one's thinking about you. Just go out and say, today I'm just gonna have fun. What the hell? You know, today is my life. Today is not. Like, this is it. This is
The
living.
present
This is
moment
life
right now.
now.
This is the moment you've got, and it's going to pass. So what are you doing?
Yeah, have fun. Just have fun. Yeah.
And when
That's
the inevitable downtimes come, you have all these experiences that maybe help you to buoy you, and know that you can return to them also, right?
Yeah.
So, Huenu, this has been so wonderful to talk with you. In closing, I want to say that Orykl is far more than a platform. It's a living, breathing movement that offers a sacred sanctuary where healers are empowered to rise, and those seeking healing are gently guided to the soul-aligned support they need. I so deeply resonate with your belief that when light workers come together in integrity and purpose, we hold the power to ignite a profound transformation in the collective consciousness. And this interview has been a wonderful reflection of that truth. Thank you from my heart for your wisdom and your presence on the Grief and Rebirth podcast. And I wish you abundant blessings. And to my cherished...
Thank you so much. And really, I appreciate it very, very much. You're wonderful. And I look forward to getting to know you even better.
Thank you. And I just have to add, to my cherished Grief and Rebirth podcast fans, stay tuned and see you again soon. So, to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Grief and Rebirth. Remember, you can dive deeper into everything we've discussed by checking out the show notes and all past episodes at ireneweinberg.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Irene S. Weinberg on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and wherever you love to hang out online. Plus, we're on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe and never miss a video. For those of you listening, you'll find links to my 2 books, Good to the Last Drop and They Serve Bagels in Heaven, in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see those books listed right above, so don't miss out. And here comes a special treat. If you sign up for Audible as a first-time user using my link, which you can find in the show notes, you can get They Serve Bagels in Heaven for free. And finally, people often ask me what I read, what I use, and what I recommend for healing and self-care. So I've carefully curated a compilation of those items to share with you. You can head over to kit.co/grief and rebirth to check them out. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, many blessings.